If you were to choose between feeling safe or feeling fear, which state would you rather create from? Now, this may seem like a trick question because I think consciously most of us would likely choose to create from a feeling of safety. And yet, many of us are creating from a feeling of fear instead. Whenever we go to our edges with a new goal, it is completely normal to feel fear as we step outside of our comfort zones. Fear will be part of the process. But how we relate to that fear is everything. Feeling fear is not a sign to stop, it is a sign to become aware. So, with that in mind, let's pause here just for a moment. And I invite you to see if somewhere in your memory, can you recall a time in your life when you were creating something from a place of fear? Maybe you wanted to change a career or attain a health goal or step into a new relationship, but all you could feel was the pressure of fear. Any memories come to mind? If so, how does that feel in your body? And where do you notice it? Maybe it's a tightness in your chest, a flutter in your stomach. For right now, I invite you to just notice. And remember, it's completely normal to feel fear. It's not a sign to stop, it's a sign to become aware. When it comes to understanding fear, I have found so much wisdom in a teaching I learned from a Jewish rabbi about fear. Did you know that in the Hebrew language, there are two words for fear? The first is Pachad, and this is the fear of the ego. It is the fear of imagined worst case scenarios and separations, and it's all rooted in scarcity and lack. It is a contracted defensive state. The second word for fear is Yirah. And this is a very different type of fear. It is the feeling of awe and expansiveness when we stand in the presence of the divine, when we can feel that we are in the presence of something greater than ourselves. This is the fear we feel when we step into our highest calling. Now, unfortunately, the English language does not make this distinction, so we often confuse the two. When you're creating something new in your life, whether it is a project or a relationship or a dream, you will feel both kinds of fear. Recognizing the difference and learning to cultivate a felt sense of safety can change everything. As a transformational teacher, my work focuses on the law of creation, which I break into 5 different words: feel, be, see, say, and do. These are the pillars of both healing the past and creating the future. And here's the important part: neither direction is free from fear. And it's not about avoiding fear, it's about knowing how to create from safety and Yirah fear instead of being driven by Pachad fear. But here's the catch: we need to feel first. And so often we rush ahead to the doing or to the thought work of seeing and saying, but without the feeling, the creation lacks depth. So let's dive into fear a little more deeply. When we create, we have 2 options. We can create from the ego, which is rooted in Pachad fear, or we can create from our true self, which is grounded in safety and unconditional love. And yes, often it is also accompanied by Yirah fear, which calls us to expand. Now, creating from the ego feels like striving. It is driven by the belief that we're not enough, or there's not enough resources, or we create out of avoidance. Maybe we're trying to escape pain, prove our worth, or earn love through achievement. The law of creation still works in the ego, but it's hollow. And I know this because I have done it. I have created so many things from the ego, thinking they would fulfill me, but they never did. And here's what I've learned. What we really want is not the thing we're creating. It's the feeling we believe it will give us. Maybe we think we want the money, but what we really want is the feeling of freedom. Or maybe we think that we want the relationship, but what we really want is to feel loved. Maybe we think we want success, but what we really want is to feel worthy. Does any of this sound familiar to you? I know it does to me. Can you think of a time when you created from the ego, where you just tried to do something because you believed it was the key to feeling loved and accepted? And if you did create from this place, did you achieve your goal? And if so, how did it feel when you achieved your goal? Did it bring the love or the peace that you were hoping it would? Or did you find yourself feeling the same way as before, but with just a new achievement to chase? Creating from the true self is different. When we create from the true self, we create from a place of safety and unconditional love. And yes, you may still feel some Yirah fear, that fear of stepping into something bigger than you, but you're doing it from a place of trust. Trust that the divine, God, the universe will co-create this with you. And when you feel safety in your body, you're able to step forward with confidence, even with fear in the mix. We find safety by using tools that help to regulate our nervous system. When we begin to use our bodies as an amazing creation tool, things start to shift really quickly. This is a bottom-up approach. We learn how to heal and regulate our nervous system, and we come into a state of safety. And from here, then we move up into the mind. And it's only when we're rooted in safety in our body that we can align our body, our heart, and our mind for true connection. When I began focusing on nervous system regulation, I discovered this power of the bottom-up approach, regulating the body in order to regulate the mind. And when my body feels safe, my mind will calm down too. When my body feels safe, affirmations or mindset work no longer feel unbelievable or out of reach. They feel real and magnetic. This is why creating from safety is so important. Without it, even the best intentions fall flat because they're built on a shaky foundation of the ego. When you create from safety, you tap into your true self. And from there, you can co-create with the divine. In fact, I'll tell you this. The more I've created from the true self, the less I've felt the need to achieve for the sake of achieving. It's been about creating for the joy of creating, for the process, not just the outcome. So let's pause for a moment. And if it's safe for you, I invite you to close your eyes and just feel into the current state of your nervous system right now. Ask yourself what it would feel like if you created some safety. And maybe give a quick little assessment of your own life. Where might you be pushing from fear or scarcity in what you're trying to create? And what would it feel like to let go of that fear, even for a moment, and create from your true self with love and acceptance? Here's a metaphor that might help. I invite you to imagine a beautiful river flowing through a landscape. Its path is not random. It's purposeful. The river is in flow, guided by the land, co-creating its course with the universe. Now imagine building a dam to control that flow. This is what fear does. The ego, driven by Pachad fear, doesn't trust the river to flow where it's meant to go. It wants control. But the dam comes at a cost. It blocks the natural movement of creation, exhausting us in the process. The water, our energy, our inspiration, it builds up, stagnant and stuck. True creation isn't about letting the river flow aimlessly, nor is it about rigidly controlling it. It is about co-creating with the river. It's about working with the flow of the universe, trusting its guidance while gently directing its course. When you create from your true self, you're not just the river, you are a co-creator of a masterpiece. You align your intention with the flow of something greater, moving from a place of safety, awe, and partnership. We can guide the flow, channeling it with intention, but we're not forcing it. Creating from safety does not mean either that we sit back and let the current carry us anywhere. It means we trust the river's wisdom while partnering with it to shape its path. So how do you create from safety? It starts with regulating your nervous system. And I am so excited to share more about this in future episodes. For me personally, I feel most supported in regulating my nervous system by using tools like meditation, breath work, going on walks in nature, and even music. You'll know that you've reached a regulated state when you feel calm and expansive and alive in your body. Your mind will quiet and you'll feel present. From here, you're not creating to escape fear. You're creating to express love, awe, and connection. This is what it means to create from your true self. And it's where we have access to true power. It's not just about outcomes that you want to achieve. It's about the state you embody along the way. When you create from safety and love, you don't just bring something new into the world. You bring your truest self into the world. And that is the most powerful creation of all. In every episode, you will hear me reference the law of creation, which is a spiritual framework that informs all of my work and my unconditional love practice. Now, while I mention the basics of feel, be, see, say, and do here, I would love to give you a deeper dive exploration into what this can really mean for your own life, so you can experience more inner peace, self-love and acceptance, and empowerment to create the life you deeply desire. It's one of the most important courses I've ever made, and it is my gift to you as a thank you for listening. Just click the link below. You are a creator. Now go co-create something great.